Today we'll start you through a series of videos that will now begin to give you vivid detail of what I've been going through for the past 12 years, and specifically the last year and a half. Now, before you reach the conclusion that I'm out with some sort of vendetta against our legal system and I'm singling them out, that is not the case. Yes, our judicial system or our legal system or justice system has some major flaws. But there are also problems with our political climate, with our business practices, and all of these will come into play. I happen to think that our justice system and our system of government should always seek true justice and seek the truth. But that is not the case. That is not always possible. Now, I'm in this situation largely because of a contract that existed between my company, Lease Group Resources, Canon USA, and Daps, an acronym for Defense Automated Printing Service, which was an agency within the federal government. Now, I have here a contract signed between Daps and Canon USA in 1998. It's called the BPA Blanket Purchase Agreement. Now, that contract was amended in 2000. This is the amendment. And the purpose of that amendment, again, it was signed by Canon and by Daps on April 3rd of the year 2000. The purpose of this amendment was to add my company, Lease Group Resources, the LGR Group, to the contract as the lessor. It clearly states lessee, government, customer, lessor, the LGR Group, 80 High Street, Mount Holly, New Jersey, supplier, Canon USA. Now, the main focus of this amendment was to take advantage of my 8A status within the federal government as a small disadvantaged business. And we're going to talk about exploitation later on in this presentation. But it clearly states Leasing Plan 8A Small Business Set-Aside, which gave Canon an advantage in utilizing my company to gain government contracts as an 8A set-aside. Clearly states that it says that the orders must be issued for LGR/Canon USA. It further states that the remit to was Lease Group Resources, gave my account number and my address. Now, this was further accentuated in October of 2000 when the senior channel manager wrote a letter for me to give to my funding sources. This was specifically written to Sterling Bank. And it clearly states that the lease payments under this contract were to be remitted to Lease Group Resources, care of Sterling Bank, gave the ABA number, our account number, our federal ID number. We even had a cage code within the federal government. So it was clear what the intention of that contract was. We were to get the payments directly from Daps. Based on this information, I agreed to fund these transactions. Sterling Bank agreed to underwrite these transactions because of what was stated in the contract and what was stated in this letter from Canon USA. Now, as I mentioned in an earlier presentation, Sterling was a small bank. They had a legal lending limit but they saw the potential and they decided to introduce me to a program called non-recourse lending. What this enabled them to do was to go outside of my limited line of credit and create direct leases. And my function was simply to bill the customer, collect the payments, and then remit those payments to Sterling Bank. I had no personal direct liability other than to remit the payments that I received. And as I've already stated, I knowingly remitted the payments to Sterling Bank even though I had not received the payments. Now, to further illustrate what I have just discussed regarding these direct leases, this is a report that Sterling Bank sent to me. It's a partial list of the non-recourse loans. It says right up here, Sterling Bank, unpaid balance, direct lease financing. And you can see, again, of course, we did hundreds of leases under this facility. But you can see Defense Automated Printing Service, Daps, and there are other government agencies as well here. Again, this facility was designed for government entities and major corporations where Sterling felt that there was little or no risk with regard to the lessee because of their credit status. So this is the facility that we used to fund these transactions. I have here a bank statement. Not only was I to bill and collect the payments, there's a highlight here called non-recourse fees. I was paid a fee to service these leases. And again, the amount differed depending on how many payments came in that particular month. I'm now going to talk about exploitation. I have here a letter, a notification from the federal government, the Small Business Administration, notifying me that I have been accepted into the 8A program. The 8A program was designed to help small, disadvantaged businesses participate in the purchasing process within the federal government. There was a program that would allow them to set aside contracts so that they did not have to bid. And again, this was a beneficial program. It allowed them to avoid the expense of having to go through the bid process. And it also enabled small companies like mine to participate in the purchasing process within the federal government. Of course, major corporations saw the advantage here, and they would use companies like my company, 8A set-aside programs, to ascertain business through this program. Canon was one of several companies that took advantage of this program. There's a video documentary on a ESPN program called 30 for 30. And it chronicles different stories regarding athletes, some pros, some college. There's one particular story regarding a young man named Maurice Clarett. He was a can't-miss prospect, a super. As a matter of fact, the documentary shows that he was friends with LeBron James, and he was in high school the same time LeBron was. He was even a bigger star because the documentary states that while LeBron was breaking all these records and making all these headlines in basketball, Maurice Clarett was doing the same thing in football. But football was far and above a more visual sport than basketball was. Maurice ended up at Ohio State, helped them win a national championship. Now, he found himself in an untenable situation, which really was not his fault. But the gist of the story was the university did not stand behind him. He ended up losing a scholarship, missing out on his chance to play in the NFL, ended up back in the streets, dealing drugs, went to jail, but he resurrected his life. But the gist of this message here is that he never should have had to go through that. He, like many other athletes, are often exploited. But my point here is that exploitation is not limited to athletics, to high school athletes and college athletes. Exploitation takes place in business as well. Me and my company were exploited. Yes, I had my eyes wide open. We all did. We all took advantage of this program, the 8A program, the minority status of my business, and we did millions of dollars. And I am not claiming that I have no responsibility at all here. But just like Maurice Clarett, he decided that he didn't want to implicate his coach. He was a bit intimidated by the system. So I tried to make this work without, and I should have gone to them years ago. But again, our justice system should be designed for justice. What has happened now, Cannon's gone away, they think. Daps has gone away, they think. Sterling Bank got bought by Roma Bank, who then got bought by Investors Bank. They think they've gone away and left me holding the bag. But I'm here seeking justice, saying that you cannot benefit and share in the gain and not share in the pain. And there need not be any pain. There are still millions of dollars legitimately owed. Step up, federal government. Step up, Daps. Step up, Cannon, and make things right. But now I'm being vilified, left holding the bag. Do you think that it's coincidental that in 1992, I was admitted into the 8A program, giving me access to government contracts. And then in 1993, Cannon signs a contract with me to take advantage of my 8A status. And in the process, they received millions of dollars in contracts. Sterling Bank saw the opportunity and introduced me to the non-recourse facility. Liberty Bell Bank saw what Sterling Bank did, and they duplicated the process so that they could get additional business. But now who's on the hot seat when the government and other lessees did not pay for their liabilities? So now they're saying, I wrote checks and there was no money in the account. The question is, where is the money? Should there have been money in the account? Now, I do not want you to think that I am portraying all of my adversaries as villains, because all of them clearly are not. Some of them are very honorable. Some of them I still consider my friends. They just happen to be on the opposite side of this lawsuit. But then again, there are two, maybe more, but two that I view as being manipulative and deceitful. One of the attorneys for Liberty Bell Bank has from the very beginning tried to discredit me. He's used misrepresentations and outright untruths to get the judge to rule against me. And of course, the biggest setback was the appointment of a receiver, who is the other villain in this process, in this case. But my message to all of those who think that you can manipulate the system and discredit me and hide the truth and misrepresent facts, my message to you is the same message that Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston gave to Dylan Roof. Wrong church, wrong people, wrong time. Now, not for 1 minute am I trying to equate my situation with that tragedy. But to any of you who think that you can use the system to undo the good that I've done, to prevent me from doing more good, I say to you, wrong person, wrong time, and you're on the wrong side. Please stay tuned for the next presentation.